Hey guys, my name's Marcel, and I just finished having another meeting with Sergeant Fehler at Kelowna RCMP in regards to the professional unit conduct investigation into Conrad Constable Erbes. And so we just had over an hour meeting, and we went over the allegations and listed them out and went over the details to make sure everything is available to Sergeant Fehler. And we can go over the allegations together, guys. Storm's acting up. Today is September 28th, 2023. Okay, guys, so here is the letter that I wrote to Sergeant Fehler on August 14th, and we just had a meeting going over the detailed allegations today, which is September 28th. And so now it is time that I can read through you the allegations and kind of show you the process, the work I've had to put in there to be diligent, that there is transparency with the investigation. This is a public complaint that I initiated through the CRCC, which is the Civilian Review and Complaint Commission. And then that is then approved and passed on to the RCMP, the Professional Conduct Unit, Professional Responsibility Unit, and Sergeant Fehler was the officer whose job is to investigate these complaints. That's his entire job as a police officer, to do investigations on the CRCC complaints and possibly other complaints. So I'm going to show you. Let's get into it. Dear Sergeant Fehler, thank you for the email update. Further to our meeting on July 5th, I requested that the CRCC conduct a review of the RCMP's disposition of my complaint in regard to the notice of direction, and my request was accepted. The CRCC request for review form specifically mentions a letter of disposition or a notice of direction for reasons to request a review. So I got a notice of direction from the RCMP and from Inspector Leah. Her last name starts with K, and written up by Sergeant Fehler. And I then took that to the CRC to request they review it. And what they're doing is taking just some of the allegations, the ones about him in court, serving me his personal business, his lawsuit in court, holding up the court, etc. And they've wanted to put that into section from section 4 to section 7 for an internal investigation, which they take more seriously, apparently. So let's continue. With respect to the notice of direction code of conduct allegations investigation, I understand this could also include, A, obtaining court registry documents including dates and timestamps of Erbes' notice of claim, reviewing courtroom recordings and or transcripts from both December 14th and March 29th, 2023, C, interviewing Crown Counsel Smith, who was on duty in court March 29th, and D, identifying and interviewing other commissioner, his name was Jackson, who was first on scene with Commissioner Steve Rath, as seen on the video at 8:07. So just some more making sure, that he has enough evidence to move with that code of conduct investigation. There's evidence, there's witnesses available. So video and transcripts may include E, Marcel Irnie informing Justice Burgess that he had just been served a cease and desist letter in combination with additional violation ticket. It's the AJ2462, the 9795. Let's see, the first numbers in the ticket always identify with Erbes' notebook, AJ2462, and then the 9795 changes with each ticket, violation ticket copy. December 14, 2022, and a notice of claim by Constable Erbes in the courtroom, March 29th, 2023, which Irnie felt was meant to be an act of intimidation towards the defendant and witness. F, the Crown Constable Smith informing the court on March 29th, 2023 that Constable Erbes would be late as he was attending the court registry. G, I had 5 witnesses who attended the courtroom waiting area when Constable Erbes arrived at 2:31 p.m. for the March 29th, 2023, 2:30 p.m. court time. Erbes entered the elevator and walked past everyone down the courtroom hallway at 2:31 p.m. Erbes then returned to the waiting room, spoke with Constable Smith, and then proceeded to go back to the elevator. We waited in the hallway for another 7 minutes approximately to 2:37 p.m. before Crown Representative Constable Smith said to proceed into the courtroom. The same witnesses
from the waiting room were also present in the courtroom, as Constable Smith informed the court that Erbes was at the registry and would be late. We waited approximately 30 minutes in the courtroom for Erbes to return. When Erbes returned after 3:10 p.m. approximately, he dropped a notice of claim on my lap. Two of the courtroom witnesses available for interview are Dr. Tina Garrison and Ron Irnie. The other 3 witnesses could also be requested with proper notice. So I'm just giving him any extra evidence to make sure he has everything he needs to move forward with those allegations of him doing personal threatening business, intimidating and threatening in the court with personal business of a lawsuit. H. Obtain Constable Erbes' RCMP notebook, handwritten notes surrounding the events of January 29, 2022, and Erbes' notes pertaining to the court dates with Marcel Irnie, and Erbes' notes in relation to the January 29, 2022 Freedom Convoy Rally in Kelowna, BC. So, allegations to be added to my public complaint. So, I was just answering Sergeant Fehler's questions with the details of that previous allegation. Number 1, for add to my public complaint. Allegation, neglect of duty, officer identification. Erbes did not understand the intent nor the spirit of the standard for RCMP officer identification. Erbes arrived at my camper in a mask and with no ID. Erbes refused to ID himself upon multiple requests. RCMP standard officer self-identification. To date, I have identified 2 documents that speak to this issue. The Government of Canada official RCMP website has a section entitled Officer Identification, and the CRCC Complaint Allegation Types Information document. In particular, F, Neglect of Duty, addresses these issues. The website links below. And let's quote, and we'll check out the website. Your safety is our priority. We regularly reinforce with our officers the importance of self-identification. Residents can also request identification from RCMP police officers. You may also ask to see the officer's badge and ID card. If anything seems off, call your local police. Now let's take a look at this, guys, on the RCMP GRC website. You can look it up yourself. Just go to RCMP's website and then type in officer identification and it'll pop up. So we have a lot of things to discuss. This is going to be its own video later on. We're going to go into officer identification. And what you notice at the top, it says home-Nova Scotia-officer identification. So we regularly reinforce with officers the importance of self-identification. Residents can also request identification from RCMP officers, police officers. If the circumstances make it safe and reasonable to do so, the officer will provide the identification. That, in a situation such as a traffic stop, you may ask to see officer's badge and ID. Both the badge and ID card will show the same regimental number, and the ID card will have a photo. If you have further concerns, you may call dispatch at 1-800-803-RCMP outside the Halifax region or 902 within Halifax region. We are committed to protecting Nova Scotians, and we are also always on the lookout for suspicious behavior under Section 130 of the Criminal Code. It is illegal to impersonate a peace officer. Anyone caught doing so can face up to 5 years in prison. So we're going to skip the rest here. So it's talking about Nova Scotia, and it's under the Nova Scotia. But however, the RCMP is a federal police force. It's not provincial. It's not the Nova Scotia province. And unfortunately, from what we've been dealing with, there is no rules. It's not in the Code of Conduct. It's not in the Police Act about our RCMP officers must identify. It's not like in the USA where it's like you must identify yourself as per their Police Act, their Constitution, etc. Sergeant Fehler stated that he can't find anything, and he's had other complaints like this before, that he can't find anything in the Police Act or anywhere in the rules of conduct that force them to identify with their name. He only stipulates that they must have the ID on their jacket, vest, whatever, their Velcro thing that they can remove, such as Conrad Erbes didn't have it visible on his jacket, whether it was removed or covered up. And there was nothing to read on Constable Erbes' jacket or his vest. However, Corporal Hall was very easy to see his when he attended the scene, for those that actually know what the whole scene was about. So this is a big problem, guys. The RCMP does not have it in the Police Act that they must identify. And this is huge news, because everybody who thinks it's like the US where they must identify per their own code of conduct, it's not true. They only need to have it on their vest. They don't have to physically or voice it. They don't have to voice it to you. If it's, and of course, you know, they'll do it. It's terrible. There's no transparency with this. These are public workers that work for the people. They work for the city. They work for the RCMP. They're accountable to the public. They're paid by the public through tax dollars, and they're forced not to identify. It's absolutely ridiculous, guys. You know, and Sergeant Fehler states, well, that's Nova Scotia's policy, maybe. I don't know anything about it. Because we all know in Nova Scotia, there was a mass murder from a person who faked a police car, faked a police uniform, faked everything, and went around as a police officer knocking on doors, murdering people. When they're non-suspecting, they open the door, a cop outside, they let him in the home, or they open their door, or they go to talk to them on the side of the road, or they get pulled over by an officer on the road. Again, so they're writing this after the fact of the Nova Scotia murders. So this is a real big problem, guys, and we'll have to do a story on this separate because it's going to get long. And then we go into the CRCC, which talks about the same thing. So we have some conflicting things going on here, or conflicting with what I just explained. The complaint allegation type states refusal to identify oneself may be a neglect of duty under the RCMP standards. And here is the CRCC, the Civilian Review and Complaints Commission for the RCMP. Complaints allegation type, so improper attitude, improper use of force, irregular procedures, driving irregularities, neglect of duty. This category addresses allegations that a member failed or refused to perform a duty or provide a service that members are expected to provide, or did perform a duty to provide a service, but in manner which does not meet RCMP standards. So we're talking about the Standards Act. Included are allegations to refusal to identify oneself. Let me say it again. Included are allegations of refusal to identify oneself, refusal or failure to provide timely and adequate service, mismanagement of a public complaint, inadequate or incompetent investigations, improper care and handling of prisoners, failure to release detained persons into a safe haven at the time of release, and failure to provide adequate, prompt, and competent medical care. This category also includes relatively common allegations of deficient reporting, that a member failed or refused to report the facts of a public complaint, a service provided, or investigation conducted. It also includes allegations that a member fabricated, recorded, or reported facts that were incorrect or untrue, or that a member concealed and or failed to record or report correct or true facts, referring to notebooks, occurrence reports, crime reports, reporting forms, court documents, reports of any types, including written, audio, video, electronics. So remember that, because that covers a lot of allegations about what Erbes did there, you know, reporting untrue facts on purpose, you know, stating Motor Vehicle Act and Motor Vehicle Act regulations that I'm going to tow you, but the fact is I was allowed to be parked there, and so again, fabricating things in court, etc. So let's go back. So there you have it, guys. So I am curious what training RCMP officers receive and the relevant training manuals and what other documents state. I am curious how this is being regularly reinforced with officers. This is a serious issue and perhaps should be brought to the attention of senior RCMP management. The standard I quoted for RCMP officers' self-identification may not be a practice standard in Kelowna. Did Constable Erbes neglect his duty, and did Constable Erbes mislead or intend to mislead how he conducted himself? A. I believe Constable Erbes does not understand the intent nor the spirit of the RCMP standard for officer identification. This led to what should have been at most a simple bylaw parking education or information being communicated, but instead escalated to my charter rights being violated in a 3-hour RCMP detainment and harassment ordeal. B. The available evidence includes court transcripts, video, interviews, show that Constable Erbes does not understand the standard of duty and more than likely misled or intended to mislead the court and others about his conduct. And we have video evidence of this, guys, so we'll have all this in the same video. Video evidence highlights include Erbes, March 29th, court testimony. I'm quoting him from court. Mr. Irnie held a cell phone in my face and demanded to know my name and badge, which had already been provided. I didn't provide my badge, but I did provide my name as well as my jurisdiction, which by lawful obligation. So there you go, guys. For just people listening, that is a quote of Erbes being questioned by the Constable Smith, the Crown and Judicial Justice. It's available in the transcripts. He says he demanded my name and badge, which had already been provided. So he's saying he already provided my name. I didn't provide my badge, but I provided my name as well as my jurisdiction, which by lawful obligation. So what lawful obligation is he talking about, right? We just went over that Sergeant Fehler stated that there is no obligation in the Police Act or the standards, or it's a huge gray area that needs to be updated for the RCMP. B, January 29th, 2022, video evidence demonstrates that Erbes refused to identify himself under the RCMP police standards. So I'm quoting the police standards because that's the only thing it mentioned. Erbes stated several times in video, January 29th, 2022, that he will not identify until I step out of the camper and meet him on the sidewalk. So here's the transcripts from that video, 29th of January. Irnie, what's your name? Erbes, my name will be available to you when you provide me with your ID on the sidewalk. So there, he's stating that he hasn't given me his name. My name will be available to you when you provide me your ID on the sidewalk. Come out of the camper, provide me your ID, and then I'll tell you who I am. Number 2, Erbes, my name's available to you out here. So again, any jury would see that, well, he's saying this as if he never identified once. He's not saying, I already identified with you in the beginning. I'm not saying it again. No, he's not saying that at all. He's saying, I will identify upon these measures being met. Number 3, Erbes. Okay, you failed to comply with me, so I'm failing to comply with you until you meet me out here. Now, those first 1, 2, and 3 are on video, so let's take a look. I'll click on it. Let it load.
What's your name?
My name?
What's your badge number?
To you when you provide me
What's your name and badge number?
My name's available to you out here.
What's your name and badge number?
Did you not hear what I just said to you?
I said, I'm asking you the question.
Okay,
What's your name and badge number, please?
Okay, you failed to comply with me, so I'm failing to comply with you until you meet me out here.
I've done nothing illegal. I'm parked on public streets.
That's not true. You have done something illegal.
What have I done illegal?
I've already explained it to you.
No, why are you hassling me?
I'm not hassling you, sir.
I'm just having some food here.
Okay, so there you had it. My name will be available to you outside. You failed to comply with me, so I'm failing to comply with you. And number 4, Erbes, he stated. So you can have my name when you get out of the vehicle, and we can look at your plate and deal with this like adults.
What is your name? What is your name?
A lawyer can give you.
Can you tell me what this guy's name is, guys?
I couldn't tell you.
You don't know what this officer's name is.
So you can have my name when you get out of the vehicle. We can look at your plate and deal with this like adults.
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
So you're giving me the middle finger on your YouTube.
Okay, and we're back, guys, again. So you can have my name when you get out of the vehicle, and we can look at your plate and deal with this like adults. Again, he's stating that he hasn't identified himself yet. So I'm just making the obvious points here as if we have a jury looking at this with a judge. Number 5, what is your name? I'm stating. You have to provide me your name. Erbes, I'll provide it to you in writing on paper. Okay, we're going to go over another one. Number 6, no, I need to see your badge. Show me your badge number. Erbes, I don't have a badge to show you. Let's look at the evidence.
What? I don't give a shit if you're asking me.
Not a problem, sir.
What is your name?
At 9 o'clock.
You have to tell me your name. I'm
I'll
gonna...
provide it to you in writing, on paper.
No, I need to see your badge number, sir. Show me your badge number.
I don't have a badge to show you.
And I come outside and talk to him, and then he'll give me his ID, and I'm scared. I'm like, it's almost like
Okay, and so we're back. So again, what is your name? I'll provide it to you in writing on paper. I don't have a badge to show you. He's doing improper attitude with that, joking around. So the evidence is coming through, guys. C, I recommend obtaining the transcripts from the phone calls I placed to the RCMP on January 29, 2022, where I relayed the RCMP vehicle number to find out the officer's name. The phone calls are also available in my January 29, 2022 video evidence documentation. Call to RCMP operator. So to the top, Irnie. Here's a quote. And do you have his name and KL 3228 vehicle being held right now? RCMP operator. Yeah, that's a Constable Erbes. 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 And to the evidence.
and leave me alone and have a supervisor come here to verify all this. I think that would be appropriate, right?
And do you have his name, the KL3228 vehicle being held right now?
Yeah, that's Constable Erbes. Erbes. Erbes.
Erbes.
That's correct.
So let's just kind of look at some paperwork.
There you have the evidence, guys. It's very clear that Erbes never identified himself, yet in court, he said he identified himself, you know, ahead of time, right? And so we'll go into the next one in a new video. One's getting 20 minutes now, which is oppressive conduct. Erbes threatened to tow. He threatened MVA, MVAR violation tickets and bylaw tickets if I didn't meet him outside. But again, so I want to know who Erbes was. And Erbes said on the witness stand, being asked by Constable Smith, the supposed Crown RCMP, I didn't provide my badge, but I did provide my name as well as my jurisdiction, which by lawful obligation. So what is going on besides Erbes lying about identifying himself? You know, what's going on with he's saying by lawful obligation? Why is the RCMP Sergeant Fehler stating that it's not in the Police Act? And I went to the library and read the Police Act. It's freaking a huge book. I couldn't find anything on it. And, you know, the RCMP, the standards, you know, what is that? So these are some huge questions, guys. RCMP, they don't have to identify their name to them, but they do sometimes, but not by the police standards or the RCMP Police Act. So we'll keep going on the allegations, guys. This is Marcel Irnie, IrnieracingNews. And it's September 28th after I just met with Sergeant Fehler with my dad and had another discussion about all this. Cheers.